everyone, it's Becky from Book Obsessed Becky. I wanted to get on here today and talk about some books that have love in them, but they're not all necessarily like romantic love, because with Valentine's Day coming up, I mean, everybody's all wrapped up in the, oh, I don't have a partner, or oh, what's my partner going to do for me, or whatever, but it's so much more than that. So I thought I would talk about some of these books. Granted, there are romance, like partner type books in here, but there's also like friendship and like family love kind of stuff in here. So it's a variety of books, and I have read some recently and I read some a long time ago. So I'm hoping I don't stumble through too badly. I also have my Kindle here because there's a book on here I want to talk about, and I'm going to use my phone because I just finished up a book from the library, but I don't have a copy of it. So I'm going to use my phone to show you the picture of that one. So we will start in a minute. Well, we'll get to those in a minute, I guess. One of the books here, this one's called Welcome to Your Life. And I was introduced to this book by a video from Lauren in the Books a while ago. I read this book a long time ago. A long time ago. It might have been last year. I can't remember. But this is a story of this girl right here. And it just, I loved it. I'm going to read you what the inside says because I think that's the best description I can give you of it rather than me trying to stumble through it. So it says, this is a love story. Serena Mills should be at her wedding, but she's not. Instead, she's eating an ice cream sundae and drinking an obscenely large glass of wine in a harvester off of the M25. Everyone thinks she's mad. She's left the man everyone told her she was so lucky to find because Serena wants to find love, real love, a love that she deserves, not one she should feel grateful for. So, she escapes to the big city and sets herself a challenge. 52 weeks, 52 dates, 52 chances to find love. It should be easy, right? A story about love, forging your own path, and falling head over heels with yourself. So, that's what this one is about. Again, I loved it, and I love the confidence that she finds in herself, because when she had first gotten with her fiance, she was, I can't remember if she was in high school. I think she was in high school, and over the years she had gained weight and she just was really starting to feel bad about herself. But she knew that he was not what she wanted, so she set out to change it. And there's friendship in here, there's adventures in here. It was a really good book. And if you want a book that's not just about romance, but more about discovering yourself, then this could be a book for you. This book I read when it first came out. It is Betrayed by Emily Henry. This is my first Emily Henry book I ever read, and I really enjoyed it. I think this is probably one of my favorites by her, other than, I think it was called Book Lovers. So this one is, I'm going to give you a quick little blurb about it. It's a romance writer who no longer believes in love and a literary writer stuck in a rut. They engage in a summer-long challenge that kind of upends everything for what they believe and what they believe about happily ever afters. This is a cute romance. I really enjoyed getting to know these characters, and off the top of my head I cannot remember their names, but she has inherited this home after her father had passed, and he, on a lake, and he owns the home next door, and they're both kind of on a writing retreat type deal trying to make their next novel, and it's just not working for them. They kind of both are suffering from writer's block, if I remember correctly. So yeah, they're a little leery of each other in the beginning, then they end up becoming friends and maybe a little bit more. It was really a cute book. It would be a good book actually to take on vacation. I enjoyed that one. Okay, so this one I'm obsessed with. I'm not only obsessed with the book, I'm obsessed with the movies or the adaptations of it, both like the one from back in the day and then the one from the 2000s. I don't care which one it is. I love them both. I bought this book and I used library book sale, even though it has a Barnes & Noble sticker on it, and there's no Barnes & Noble like anywhere near me. I think the closest one is like 3.5 hours away. So yeah, but it is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, and I love this book so much that I bought a sticker from one of my favorite parts of the movie right here. If you know, you know. Because I just couldn't help myself. I think this is like one of the best love stories of all. So I've listened to it on audio, I've read it, I've watched it, like the whole deal. I'm obsessed. So I'm going to read you a bit of the blurb. And I don't know why I'm out of breath. I think it's because I'm nervous or something. Okay, here we go. The novel's dialogue sparkles with wit and sarcasm, and many of its characters, both central and minor, demonstrate that Austen clearly takes a comic view of the human condition. But Pride and Prejudice is more than a comedy of manners and marriage. Indeed, in her portrayal of the relationship between Elizabeth Bennet and the arrogant bachelor Fitzwilliam Darcy, who pursues her, Austen gives a sensitive, realistic view of how an intelligent person undergoes a transformation. I just lost my spot. Intelligent person undergoes a transformation of feeling. She also writes about embarrassment at the foolishness of relatives, the unsteady feelings of falling in love, and the humiliation one suffers when one realizes one has made a mistake, behaved badly, or wronged another. Seriously, if you love like enemies to lovers or whatever, this is definitely a book for you. And if you have trouble reading like kind of like old language, listen to it. Listen to it on audio because it's fantastic. I love this book so much. Okay, this was my first Jenny Colgan book, and it is The Bookshop on the Corner. I mean, who doesn't love a book about books? And this one is set in, I think, London to Scotland, like the Highlands or something. And yeah, I loved it. So I'm going to read you the back of this one as well, because it's been a long time since I've read this book. It says, Nina's a literary matchmaker. Pairing a reader with that perfect book is her passion and also her job, or at least it was until yesterday. She was a librarian in a hectic city, but now the job she loved is no more. Determined to make a new life for herself, Nina moves to a sleepy village many miles away. There she buys a van and transforms it into a mobile bookshop that she drives from neighborhood to neighborhood, changing one life after another with the power of storytelling. From helping her grumpy landlord deliver a lamb to sharing picnics with a charming train conductor who serenades her with poetry, Nina discovers there's plenty of adventure, magic, and soul in a place that's beginning to feel like home, a place where she just might be able to write her own happy ending. So Nina is super brave to leave everything behind that she knows and loves and traipse off to this little village in the Highlands. The people that she meets are wonderful. The village is wonderful. It's a very small town. And the friendships she makes, I loved. And there is a little touch of romance in here as well. So that was super good. A book I read over the summer, I believe it was over the summer, is The Boardwalk Bookshop. And this book is about 3 women, different stages in their lives, meaning that they're like, yes, they're different ages, but not like huge age differences. They're just at different points in their life. Like one is single, wants to remain single, but would like to have a friend with benefits sometimes. There is one that lives with her boyfriend and she wants to get married, but he does not want to get married. And then there's one who is divorced, but her ex-husband is still her friend and very much involved in her life. These 3 women, they forge a friendship. They eventually discover who they are and what they want out of life, whether it's men or not wanting men in their life. And like there's some struggles in here for sure, but they're there for each other throughout the whole thing, and I really love that. This is a book about female friendship at its core. I would say that's what this book is about. And if that's your vibe, and you're reading about a super sunny, place and friendship and food and books and all that, then give this one a go. It was really good. This book, I don't even know if you would consider this like a love book to me. I absolutely consider it that. I think it is the most romantic book ever. It made me cry so much. I cried through the book. I cried through the movie. I bought the book for my mother-in-law. I had my husband read it. I just needed everybody to read this book, and I probably won't even pronounce his name right, but it is A Man Called by Fredrik Backman. So in this book, you're following a man who lost the love of his life. They had been together their whole lives, but she was killed. And before she was killed, there was a lot of trauma that they both had gone through, like an accident and a loss that they both suffered. Well, eventually she passed away, and Ove is just, he's existing in life. He misses her so much. Nothing is right in his life without her. He wants to end it all. He just hasn't done it yet. He knows that she wouldn't be happy, but he desperately wants to be with her. And his life changes the day that his neighbors move in next door, and a woman on the street is threatening a cat, like threatening it harm. His life just completely turns around, and he finds family again. And he shows who he really is, and it is not the man that everybody thinks that he is. He is not the curmudgeon that everybody believes that he is. If you want a book with all the highs and the lows and like found family and past love and discovering that there's still more to life, then this is such a great story. I love this book so much. I can't even praise it enough. Okay, this one is another one that I bawled in, and I can't talk a lot about it because I don't want to start to cry again. And I bawled in it so much I couldn't even watch the Netflix show when it came out. And I haven't read the second one in the series yet because I can't bring myself to it. And that is Firefly Lane by Kristin Hannah. So this book spans over 3 decades. We are following 2 women, and it's a story about friendship. It's how they remain friends through 30 years of life's ups and downs and romantic relationships and kids and jobs and extreme difficulties. This book is fantastic. It really is. I don't even know what to say about it. It made me cry. It really did. I loved it. Ellen Hildebrand here on the back says that is, with perfect pitch, Kristin Hannah describes the energy of the 70s and 80s, and on a deeper level takes readers into the heart of friendship between 2 women. It's masterful at the grand sweep and final details. I agree, 100%. If you want a book about solid female friendship, this is the book for you. There is love in here as well, but mainly female friendship. The next one I had gotten from Book of the Month a while ago, and I read it and I loved it. I even tabbed it up. And that is Part of Your World. This is the story of 2 people. They come from different parts. Well, basically they come from different worlds. One comes from a small, poor town. The other one is a big city doctor. The one in the town is a carpenter. Loves what he does. I think he's also the mayor. And then the woman is a doctor. She comes from a rich family. They have huge expectations of her, and she's not so sure she wants to fulfill those expectations. It is a romance book. These 2 people come together in a freak situation, not like an accident or anything, just like an odd situation, I guess. And I don't even know if you'd call it odd. She breaks down and he rescues her, essentially. And that encounter will change their lives forever. The book is funny, it's powerful, and it's about living the life that you want, not the one that everybody expects you to live. Again, a great story. I think I've said that about every one of them, but it's true. I really think that they're great stories. The next one everybody's heard of, I'm sure, The Flatshare with Tilly and Leon. So Tilly is in an abusive relationship. She leaves her boyfriend. I think they'd been together for many years. It's been a while since I've read this book. Leon has a girlfriend. He also has a brother that's been incarcerated for a crime that he didn't commit. Leon is in search of a roommate for his apartment to help cut the costs, and Tilly just recently left her boyfriend, so she's looking for a place to live. They don't know each other. They've never met, but they end up living together. And not just living together, but sleeping in the same bed. But they're not sleeping in the same bed at the same time because Leon works nights and Tilly works days. So during the day, Leon has the apartment, and at night, Tilly has the apartment. And they strike up a friendship because they start leaving each other little post-it notes around the apartment. And eventually they become friends, even though they're complete opposites. Like I said, they become friends, and it says here, falling in love with your roommate is probably a terrible idea, especially if you've never met. What happens when you finally bump into each other? This is a joyful, quirky romantic comedy. The Flatshare is a feel-good novel about finding love in the most unexpected places under the same roof. I could not put this book down. Well, and Tilly works with like fibers, yarns, things like that. I think she's a editor or something. She's an editor for like craft books, you know, like knitting pattern books, crochet books, that kind of a thing. And Leon is, I believe, a nurse, and he has all kinds of patients, and he works with patients that have different ailments. I think like one has cancer, some's a little kid with cancer, and some are old, and it's a really great feel-good kind of a story. There is depth to it also. Like I had said, the brother's been incarcerated for something he didn't do. There's an abusive relationship. Yeah, there's a lot going on in this little book, but it's definitely worth the read for sure. Stacking everything up over here. Okay, another one that I have read and I loved, but I haven't read it for a very long time, and that is The Lost and Found Bookshop by Susan Wiggs. I loved this book. We start out with a tragedy that is going to change Natalie's life forever. I believe her fiance is killed in a plane crash, and her mother is also killed in a plane crash, or maybe he was killed in a car accident. Either way, serious tragedy going on, and that's not spoiling anything because it's right in the beginning of the book. But needless to say, when her mother is killed, Natalie inherits the bookshop that her mother owns. It's a cute, quirky little place. She's always loved it. Growing up as a kid, she loved it. She was raised by a single mom. And she inherits it. It's still cute and quirky, except it's seriously strapped for cash. Like, she doesn't even know how her mother was keeping it afloat. And not only that, her mother was also caring for her grandfather, Natalie's grandfather, the mother's father. And he grew up in that building that the bookshop is in. He doesn't want to leave it. All of his memories are in that place. I don't know as though it says he has dementia, but he's losing his memories, and he can't be left alone. So Natalie inherits the bookshop, but she also inherits the job of being caretaker for her grandfather. Now, she's had a lot going on in her life. As you can imagine, she's grieving the loss of her mother and I think it was her boyfriend. She's trying to get this bookshop back in the positive rather than in the negative when it comes to money. She's trying to care for her grandfather. She's trying to make the best decision for both of them, and she's not really sure what to do. But in the meantime, she's trying to fix this bookstore up, and she's not looking for love. But it may find her. Between an author that she gets to come to the bookstore and between a carpenter that she hires, She has found herself thinking more about relationships than she had in the past, and she didn't think that she was ready for that. There's friendship in here. There's the love of grandparents. There's grieving. Like, there's the whole, like, gamut, I guess, of all of it. And the love of books. So if any of that sounds good, then definitely give this one a go. And Susan Wiggs also wrote another book. And for the life of me, I can't remember. I think it was Salt and Sugar. I think that's what it was. Or it was Sugar and Salt. There's a woman on the cover, and she's like decorating a cake or something. In that book, they also talk about this book. So the books are kind of connected. Either way, loved the story. Okay. So this one is probably one of my favorite stories by this author, and it came out a while ago. I read it a few years ago, and it's Any Dream Will Do by Debbie Macomber. I love her books. There's always some kind of romance in it, but there's always so much more than romance. There's always things that need to be overcome. So in this one, there's a lot that needs to be overcome. And I'm going to read you the flap because it's so good. Okay. So it says, Debbie Macomber returns with a powerful standalone novel about a woman forced to start her life anew, embarking on the most courageous journey of all to a place where she learns what love and trust really mean. Shay adored her younger brother, Caden, and that got her into a ton of trouble. When he owed money, Shay realized she would do anything to help him avoid the men who were threatening him. She crossed lines that she never should have crossed. Now determined to start fresh, she finds herself in search of a place to stay and wanders into a church to escape from the cold one night. Pastor Drew Douglas adored his wife, but when he lost her, it was all he could do to focus on his two beautiful kids, and his flock came in a distant third. Now, as he too is thinking about a fresh start, he walks through a sanctuary and finds Shay sitting in a pew. The pair strike up a friendship. Drew helps Shay get back on her feet, and she reignites his sense of purpose that over time turns into something deeper, something soulful, spiritual, and possibly romantic. Even Drew's two children are taken with this woman, who has brought light back into their lives. Perhaps most important, Shay learns to trust again, as she, in turn, proves herself trustworthy to her adopted community. But Caden returns to town, and a disastrous secret threatens to undo the life Shay has tried to rebuild. It will take the utmost courage and faith if she and Drew hope to find healing and open their hearts to a brighter future. So like I said, yes, there's romance in this, but there's also kind of like found family, community, friendship, that whole deal. And there's like a backstory behind Shay and Caden, and I just really felt for her, and I really enjoyed this book. Another one, she is a romance writer through and through, but I love her, and I'm just gonna hold this book up because it was like right on my stack, easy to reach, and that is Inheritance. It's her newest book. She writes about love, she writes about friendship, she writes about family. She always has a romance in her book. Every book that I've ever read by her has always got a romance in it, but it's always got so much more. Like there's always mystery or like murder, magic, and not every book has magic, but there's magic and witches and dragons. Sometimes it's as simple as just a murder has happened to the main character, like somebody that the main character is close to or whatever. Either way, the books are always really good. She always writes fantastic characters. The story that goes along with the character always keeps me engaged. This one is the first in the Lost Bride trilogy. This is book 1. In November, the next one comes out. You're following a woman who recently inherited this Gothic manor in Maine. She moves to it. The place is haunted. 7 wives have been murdered here, and their wedding rings have disappeared. There's been a curse put on this home. There's an evil witch involved. There's ghosts. There's a small town. She makes wonderful friends. She finds a man that she's interested in. And she discovers a side of her family that she didn't know existed because her father didn't know it existed, because her father had been adopted and he was killed, I think, or died when she was younger. So she was raised by a single mom. It was a super fantastic story. I really loved it. I blew through it, I want to say like in a day or two, a couple days maybe. I can't wait for the next one to come out. And again, the cover is amazing. Okay. So the book I'm going to talk about on my Kindle is, it was when I got it, an ARC. It's not an ARC anymore. It's out and it is called Same Time Next Summer. And this is a super cute book. It's a romance. It is about two kids. They meet at their parents' summer homes in New York, I think on Staten Island or something. It's beach homes anyways. They grow up together. They fall in love as kids. Something terrible happens and it leads the guy to break up with her and just leave her. When they were teenagers, I think they were like 17 or 18. She doesn't see him again until she's 30, and that's because she goes home to the beach home one summer with her fiance to talk about wedding details, and she happens to run into him because he is at the next house over celebrating his summer at his parents' beach house, and doing the things he's always done, working on cars and playing music and that sort of thing. Well, the main character, and I can't remember her name because it's been a while since I read the book, she is trying very hard not to spend too much time with him because, I think her name was Sam, but I can't remember his name, because he was the love of her life and she doesn't know what happened in that breakup. And she basically had like shut herself off from getting hurt again. So her life has been very predictable this whole time because she doesn't ever want to feel the way that he made her feel. And maybe his name was Wyatt. So she ends up spending time with him, and it's not on purpose at first. It just sort of happens, and they strike up a friendship again. And she is left with, well, do I want to be back with him? Is he even interested? Or do I want to get married to, I think his name was Jack, who's a doctor? She has to make these hard choices. You're following her, like growing up, you're going from past to present, bouncing between the two. You're following her and her sister, her friends, Wyatt. I really think his name was Wyatt. And yeah, you're following their growing up journey and how they run into each other again and whether or not they decide to dive back into their relationship. It is a very cute love story. I really enjoyed it. It says here at the bottom, bursting with the magic of first love. It's everything I want in a summer romance. Carly Fortune, the author of Every Summer After, said that, and I would agree. Definitely a great book. Bonus, another book that this author wrote was Nora Goes Off Script. That was a really cute romance book as well. So the last book, I was trying to keep it at 14. Valentine's Day, February 14th. I was being cheesy like that. Is one I just finished the other day. I haven't even done my wrap up on it yet, so I can't say too much. But this book is everything. And that is Divine Rivals. I don't know, probably everybody's heard of this book. It is a fantasy. It is two rivals. Okay, so my camera cut out. It always does that, like the 30-minute mark. Drives me crazy. So Divine Rivals. I don't remember what I said about it, but it is a fantasy book, and we're following two people. Well, I mean, you're following more than two people, but the story centers around these two people. I don't even know what to say. I don't want to say too much because I haven't done my wrap up. They work at the same paper. They're both fighting to become columnists at this paper. I believe it's in the 1800s. There's two gods at war, the god of like above ground and the god of the underworld, and they're at war. And yeah, this columnist position opened up, and both Kit and Roman are going No. Kit and Roman. Roman Kit and Iris. So Roman and Iris are both going for this position. They are competing for it. And yeah, they're kind of, I want to say they're enemies, but they're really not enemies. They're rivals in this paper. And Roman comes from a well-off family. He completed school. He's got money. He always looks nice. Whereas Iris is living with her single mother, who happens to be an alcoholic since her brother Forrest went off to fight for the goddess that is above ground. I think that's how you would say it. She's poor. Sometimes she looks a bit messy. She had to drop out of school. She's got a lot going on behind the scenes. And yeah, they don't always get along the best. Iris is very, I don't know how you would say, she's always got something to say. Like, he'll say something, Roman will say something to her, and she's always going to come back for it. She's very quick on her feet like that. They work together anyways. And at night, Iris goes home and she types letters to her brother on her typewriter that her grandmother had left her when she passed away. But she doesn't know where to send these letters, so she puts them in her wardrobe, and magically they just disappear. Well, the person that's receiving these letters eventually writes back and says, this is not Forrest. And they start this communication back and forth with one another. And Iris starts pouring her heart out to this person on the other side. And she knows nothing about him. She does eventually figure out that it's a him. He does say he is a guy. And she thinks she might have some feelings for him. So, yeah, you're following along with these letters. You're watching two people fall for one another through letters. You're hearing about this war that is going on. You're watching these two rivals at the paper battle back and forth. And yeah, it's a fantastic story about, I don't even know, like, there's love in it. There's commitment in it. There's like the urge to do what's right in it. I definitely think everybody should read it. I loved it. I don't think you'll be disappointed. So that is the 14 books I had wanted to talk about, all having to do with love in one way or another. I hope everybody has a great Valentine's Day. It's right around the corner. Today is the 11th, so maybe pick up some of these books. Maybe not. It's up to you. If you've read some, please let me know which ones you've read, what you thought of them. And yeah, I hope you have a great Valentine's Day, whether it is with a partner, with a friend, with a family member, alone. Make sure you're treating yourself. Show yourself some love. And until next time, I hope everybody's well. I hope you're reading lots of great books. And if you are in the parts of the world where it's cold, I hope you are staying cozy. Until next time, guys, I'll see you later. All right, bye.